Hello guys, in this lesson I'm going to show you how to create basic unit testing technique, and we're going to use Microsoft Visual Studio 2019 and Microsoft Unit Testing. In case if you don't have Visual Studio installed, you can always go to visualstudiomicrosoft.com/downloads or just Google for Visual Studio download, and then get it from here, and it's free. You can there is a community edition. You can always download it for free. Okay, so let's jump to our project, and we're going to create a new project, and we will start with a class library because I want to create a class where we will have our basic math operations class. Yeah, so we'll just pick class library. We'll say math operation, and this class will be able to just add two double numbers, subtract them, divide them, or multiply them. So we'll just go next, say create. Okay, so this is our class, and we can always rename it to math simple operation. Okay, so let's create our first method. Okay, we don't need this testing yet, although we can create our test project also. Let's add our test project. We'll just right click on the solution, and we'll go to add a new project, and from the list I will pick unit test project, Microsoft test project, this one, and we'll just go next, and we'll say test math operation. Just go next, create. Okay, now under our solution math operations we have test math operation, and then we have math operation. Inside we have a class, okay, called math simple operation. Okay, so before we start testing, let's create our class methods. So we're going to create, let's start with basic, like addition. Like, it's going to be a public method, and it's going to return a double, and we'll call it add. The first input would be a double number 1, and the second one would be double number 2. Okay, and we will simply return num1 plus num2. Okay, so that's all it does. It simply knows how to add two numbers. Okay, and next we will do the same. We'll create same methods for subtraction, division, and multiplication, and we'll call this one subtract, and here all we have to do is just change it to that, multiply or divide, just divide, and then we can just simply multiply two numbers. So our class is set. Now we can test it. Now we'll go back to unit test. So next thing what we want to do is we just want to instantiate our class. We'll just say MSO, which is math simple operations. I'll just say new. Okay, so it says couldn't be found. This namespace was not found. So let's look at the potential fixes. So it says we need to either create this class, generate this class in a new file, but since we already implemented our class in a separate file, in a separate project, all we have to do is just add the reference to math operations project. Okay, just edit and we're done. Now it knows this class. So next thing is we need to create let's say double value, like, and we'll get result after calling our addition, and we'll pass, let's say, 10 and 10. Next we want to check, we want to compare our actual value with expected value. To do that, we will call something called assert. So assert is as it says here, a collection of helper classes to test various conditions within unit tests. So what's inside of assert? Let's take a look. So it has several methods like are equal, is true, is not null, is false, and more. So let's go ahead and start with are equal. And as it says, the first object is expected. So our expected value would be what? Let's say it will be a result that comes from there. And what would be the actual? Let's make it 20, because 10 plus plus is 20, right? And our first test is ready. So let's run it. Let's see if it will pass or fail. So and from here, run. Okay. It looks like it passed. Yeah, it's showing that it passed. We have all these greens. Okay. And it says passed. Okay. So in case you're wondering how I got this test explorer window, you can always get it just by clicking on this test menu item, and then click on run all tests, and it will come up. And then this will be your explorer for all your tests. Okay. So we're set with the first one, and let's rename it to test add method. Okay. And then in the same way we can create test subtract, divide, and multiply. Okay. I'll just simply copy paste it, and I'll say test subtract. So, and from here I will just call subtract. Okay. And I can test it, run it. Okay, it failed. Why? Because as you guys can see from here, expected is 0 and actual is 20. Okay, so what it's saying is it was expecting 0. Yeah, if you subtract from 10 to 10, it is 0, right? So it was expecting 0, but instead we got 20. The actual value that we got is 20. And also pay attention that when we did our first test of addition, did we do it correctly? Is this result supposed to be expected, or is it supposed to be actual? Okay. In reality, for the R equal doesn't matter, because all it does just compares this value with this. But for us it does matter, because expected should be something fixed, right? If we're expecting 20, it should be 20. And the actual should come from the method that did the job, right? So probably it would be better if we just replace in places here as our addition, and plus here we're going to also add 20 to result. So next step is let's see, our expected result should not be 20, it should be 0, because 10 minus 10 is 0, and our actual value that we got from this method was supposed to be 0, yeah, which is this value. So let's run it and see what happens. Okay, this time it passed. Our test has passed. And this one that we modified, let's take a look at it too. It also passed, yes. Okay, so next we will try to add a new method called multiply. So let's add that test multiply. And here we're going to have multiply. So 10 multiplied by 10 is supposed to be 100, right? And let's run the test and see what happens. It failed. Okay, as it says here, expected is 100. Yes, that's what we're expecting, but the actual that we got is 20. So instead of multiplying these two numbers, it is probably adding these two numbers, because probably we forgot to change the sign from plus to multiply. So let's go ahead and check it. Okay, yes indeed, it is, we have a plus, so we just fix this bug. Okay, and as a tester, this is not our responsibility to fix this bug. We are supposed to create these test cases and our unit tests, as I have showed in previous lessons. In our Excel sheet, we just need to report this by saying, like, we try to multiply two numbers, but expected result is wrong. Actual result is wrong. We expected 10 multiplied by 10 was supposed to be 100, but instead it's returning 20. So that needs to be reported in your test case report. Okay, so let's go back to our test and then try to test it again. Now it has passed. Okay, so we did in this video we created a simple class which knows how to add and subtract and multiply and divide numbers, and then we created simple Microsoft test project, and then we tested each method for using the positive method of testing. Okay, we could have gone for negative testing, but we're going to leave it for the next video, where we're going to now test our ATM class. Thank you.